Operation Choke Point 2.0 is crushing markets again. Now, I know I spend a lot of time talking about the Federal Reserve, talking about banking, monetary policy, and the markets, but it's not really that complicated. Markets stop going up when there's no more buyers, which of course is why the Federal Reserve is trying to crush demand, making you broke so you stop buying and prices stop going up. But the Fed doesn't seem to be getting the job done, and now the US government and all the regulatory agencies are all jumping in. The DOJ, the SEC, the FDIC, and even consumer protections are working hard to crush you and crush the markets. And who cares if it's not legal? The government would never let, pesky things like laws get in their way, right? So in this video, I'm gonna break down what the government agencies are doing again to crush the markets, what specifically they're targeting, how this will affect you and your investments, and what we should all expect as this all plays out. So let's go. All right, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is Mark Moss, and of course I make these videos to change the way you think about money, because almost everything you've learned is wrong, almost everything they tell you is wrong. They're hiding things, and that's okay. Now we're gonna talk today about what the government is doing secretly behind your back, to things that you don't know. They get around those things, like I said, those pesky laws that prevent them from doing things, but they're doing them. Now, I do want to say just real quick before we jump into this, I made a video a couple weeks ago talking about how they changed the CPI calculation and how it gives the Fed all the cover they need to pause and potentially pivot this year, and how it's changing the markets. Of course, you're seeing that already. You're seeing Bitcoin, you're seeing all the stocks, you're seeing it moving. So I created this kind of confusion. I got flooded with comments and questions like, what do you mean, Mark? You're going back into the markets. What are you going to expect this year? So I'm going to do a live event. There's a link down below. We're going to talk for about an hour. I'm going to break down all the charts, show you exactly what I'm seeing, and then what I'm doing, because there was a lot of confusion about what I said I'm doing with my money. So I'm going to show you all that, and I'm going to answer all your questions live. If you want to come hang out and see what I'm doing this year, check out that link down below. Otherwise, let's just go ahead and just keep going into this video. The markets movements, as I said in the intro, it's not super complex. I know I make it complex when I talk about the Fed and monetary policy, and we can talk about stocks, all these things. But basic markets move. They stop going up when there's no more buyers. Super simple, right? If you have one house for sale and 10 people to buy, the house of the price is going to get bid up. If you had 10 houses for sale but only one buyer, there's no more buyers, that one person goes away, the prices aren't going to go up anymore. It's simple, right? So this is what leads to what we call blow-off tops. Now you might recognize this chart. I've used it many times before. It's the Wall Street cheat sheet to psychology. And so as markets start going up crazy high like this, what happens is everybody wants to rush in. Oh, my neighbor just made this much money. My friend, my brother, everybody made money. I'm going to buy in, I'm going to buy in, I'm going to buy in, I'm going to buy in. And then we reach this state called euphoria. And then the market's just exhausted. You've sucked in everyone you're going to suck in at that market cycle, and you run out of buyers, and so then the market crashes back down. Now, the opposite is also true about capitulation. Now, you might hear this word, everyone says, we have to have capitulation. The markets haven't hit the bottom until we get capitulation, and that basically means when we exhaust all the sellers. So everybody sells, they sell, they're complacent, they have anxiety, they're in denial, they're in panic, and then finally they capitulate, and then there's no more sellers. And so that's how it works. So now that we understand this, let's take a look at an example of how this worked. Now let's look at the 2017 cryptocurrency markets. They were red hot. Bitcoin was on a tear, went from like $1,000 in January to $20,000 in December. It was crazy. And we saw a blow off top in the cryptocurrency markets. Here's a chart to show you what I'm talking about. So you can see here's January of 2017, basically flatlined on zero, and then it started going up. And as people started hearing about everyone making so much money, it starts sucking people in, and then it starts sucking a lot of people in, and then we get to the top. Now this is the total cryptocurrency market cap without Bitcoin. It's more volatile. It helps me illustrate my point better. We can see here that the market cap without Bitcoin reached $544 billion right here in January of 2018, and then spectacularly crashed all the way back down to 45 billion. From 544 to 45 billion. That's what we call a blow off top. And the reason why is because the market ran out of buyers. Now, Any market's going to run out of buyers when it's running this parabolic. You're going to suck everybody in that knows about it at that time. In 2017, not that many people knew about crypto. So it's going to run out of buyers. But what if the governments helped to run out of buyers? Well, how would that happen, Mark? Well, let me show you. So first of all, we had in China, so this is a global phenomenon. In China, Bitcoin drops $500 after reports that China will ban cryptocurrency. So they made it where the people in China basically couldn't buy and sell. They attacked the exchanges. We can see this is in September of 2017. So it didn't allow all those people in China to continue coming in the market. So the market started running out of buyers and it starts sputtering out at the top. And then in the good old United States, the land of the free or the land of the not so free, and we have the same thing. Here we have Facebook, this is on the BBC, Facebook bans all cryptocurrency advertising. So if we can't advertise to bring new people in, then the market stops running out of buyers. Now, fun fact for you, the reason why I started a YouTube channel was in 2018 because they banned cryptocurrency advertising. I was writing a cryptocurrency research newsletter at the time. I had no way to advertise it. I had no way to tell people about it. And so I started a YouTube channel, and so here we are. But if they can stop letting people hear about it, if Facebook bans all advertising, then after that, Google follows Facebook. So the ad platforms, Google and Facebook, just said, nope, no more advertising. So there were no more buyers, which of course caused that to happen. Now, we saw, just for fun trip down memory lane, in 2017, these were the top 10 cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin and Ethereum are still number 1 and number 2. Ripple is still inside the top 10. I think it's number 6 today, and none of these are there. Kind of an interesting tidbit. But let's keep going. So you can see the markets ran out of buyers because the government stopped it. The Chinese government stopped it, as well as Facebook and Google stopped it, but there was even more than that. Okay, so Operation Choke Point. You might have heard about this before. This is where the United States government and all the regulatory bodies shut down certain industries that they didn't like, or I should say that the people running the administration, the Obama administration, didn't like, even though there was laws that made them legal to do. So what am I talking about? So we know that the IRS was weaponized against conservatives group. At the time, Lois Lerner, she was the head of the IRS, she targeted conservative groups. She says right here, publicly acknowledged the political, predatory, and punitive actions of the agency. She acknowledged that. She had to step down in disgrace. It led to the harassment and intimidation of conservative groups. This was during the whole Tea Party movement. This strategy was deployed by a cunning White House. This was the Obama administration weaponized the IRS to go after conservative groups, taking away their nonprofit status. Now, they're protected by law to have that, but they were working outside of the law. Who cares about those pesky laws? We can see it gets better or worse depending on which side you're on. The administration was intimidating banks. So again, how do you stop things from going up? You don't allow people to buy. They intimidated banks to prevent them from doing business with a number of legitimate businesses. So the businesses were legally protected, doing legal things, but yet they prevented them from getting access to banking. Covert Operation Choke Point, administered through the Department of Justice and the Treasury. Who's the Treasury? They're not a regulatory body. They're not the DOJ. I mean, it's one thing for the DOJ, but not the Treasury. It says here, JP Morgan has been forced to cut ties with thousands of customers in the last year. Customers doing legal business in the land of the free, and yet the bank had to cut them off. Ending relationships with customers even if there isn't any sign that the customers had done anything wrong. Even though they did anything wrong, perfectly legal businesses, but we had to cut them off. Of course, it just keeps getting better. We can see here, documents inadvertently leaked. Of course, they didn't intentionally tell us this. Inadvertently leaked by the DOJ, or Department of Treasury, from the briefing of Operation Checkpoint, showed that the administration is looking to significantly impact legal businesses. Legal business, because it believes the public needs to be protected. So if the public needs to be protected, then we should probably pass laws. It should probably go up for vote. The public should probably hear about it. We should probably be able to voice our opinion. Now, we're in a republic. They want to say that we're in a democracy. Either way, shouldn't we voice our opinion? Shouldn't we pass a law? Isn't that what they're there for? But instead, they want to protect you from things you don't want to be protected from because it believes the public needs to be protected from industries and customers deemed to be likely to engage in criminal activity. It's not criminal. It's legal activity. According to the administration, the Obama administration, those industries interestingly include ammunition sales, protected under the Second Amendment. The rights shall not be infringed. It was very clear what they were meaning there. Gun sales, of course, home-based charities, so that was the conservative nonprofits, gambling, pharmaceutical sales, short-term loans, raffles, all types of things that are legal businesses, but they took it upon themselves to shut them down. Now we can see here that it wasn't just the DOJ, it wasn't just the Treasury, it was also the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, Consumer Protections, of course, protecting you. Now, this is what I like right here, so we're going to get into this. Once headed by who? Elizabeth Warren. You might remember Elizabeth Warren. Trump calls her Pocahontas because she said that she was Native American, which came out to be a complete lie. Anyway, good old Elizabeth Warren. She's the number one, I don't want to say she's the number one. She's one of the main adversaries in this, and we're going to get back to what she's doing today. But of course, back then, headed by Elizabeth Warren, and it says here, the agency was extending the reach of government into our daily lives, into things that are legally protected, and they're extending their reach. The agency is housed as part of the Federal Reserve, so it exists outside of the direct purview of Congress. So they put these agencies out of the view of Congress, out of the bodies of the government that are meant to regulate this. Basically meaning that whatever the president wants, the president gets. These are outside of the control of the government or the constituents. You and I be able to vote on this. Now, let's watch this video from Elizabeth Warren just from this week to show you how she's still up to the same tricks, doing the exact same things, basically pushing her will on the American people with a bunch of charades. Let's play this video clip.
Senator Elizabeth Warren and her office coordinated testimony with the Security and Exchange Commission ahead of a Senate hearing. The Heritage Foundation Oversight Project, of which I'm associated, through a FOIA request, obtained emails from Warren's office to the office of Chairman Gary Gensler 2 days before his Senate testimony back in September of 2021. The email from Warren's economic policy advisor includes a list of questions. Get this, a list of questions that Senator Warren planned to ask, along with suggested answers for the chairman of the SEC. The advisor also wrote, quote, "Let me know if you're okay with the questions as currently written." 2 days later, she sent a follow-up, quote, "Let me know if it's looking like the chair has any issue with the framing of the questions. Definitely don't want to put him in a tough spot," end quote. And it appears the chairman didn't have any issue with these questions because Senator Warren asked almost verbatim from the email. Check this out.
Chair Gensler, advocates say crypto markets are all about financial inclusion, but the people who are most economically vulnerable are the ones who are most likely to have to withdraw their money the fastest when the market drops. Does this sound like the path to financial inclusion to you?
All right, so did you catch that? Did you hear that? So she basically is writing the rules, and not only is she writing the rules, she's writing the scripts for the theater, meaning she wrote the questions and she wrote the answers for the questions, and she gave them to Gary Gensler so he could recite back the answers that she wanted for the questions that she had prepared. That's what's going on. That's what Elizabeth Warren is doing. None of this attack is for your protection, let's just say. All right, now here we are, Choke Point 2.0. Now, Choke Point originally was disbanded. All this came out. The Obama administration was disgraced. Lois Lerner from the IRS had to step down in disgrace, and it was eventually shut down. However, it's back. Elizabeth Warren, she's back. You just saw her writing the questions and answers for Gary Gensler. She's back. and so are the plans. Now this time, it might be even bigger. Now we have the Biden administration, which of course is the Obama-Biden administration, and they're working on a plan to circumvent gun rights. Circumvent, meaning let's just ignore that there's rights and there's a Second Amendment and there's laws. We're going to circumvent it by instituting a policy that allows banks to choose who they do business with. It says this creates an end run around the Second Amendment. Forget that pesky document. We're just going to go around that. Banks could then choose not to lend to what they consider a high-risk business. Now, it's one thing if banks choose not to lend. It's another when the government tells the banks they can't lend. That's the problem that we have. President Donald Trump attempted to reverse Operation Choke Point, even issuing what's called a fair access rule to prevent this exact thing, the same thing from happening. Trump put that rule in. However, the Biden administration late last month paused the publication of this new rule that Trump put in. Nope, we don't want that. If the comptroller refuses to publish the Trump order, as will likely be the case, Operation Choke Point could make a comeback. They don't want it to go away, they want it here. Now, we see it already taking place. I showed you Elizabeth Warren, we see it happening right here. The US government goes after crypto amid confusion and uncertainty. So they're using the same policy to go after the banking sector to choke off the money that's going into the cryptocurrency space. Now it's Congress, the presidential administration, the Biden administration, Congress, the Fed, FDIC, OCC, DOJ are all cracking down on this to keep the money from getting into the crypto ecosystem. All right, so one of the first attack vectors is, of course, the stablecoins. So people put money into stablecoins and then they use those stablecoins to trade for other cryptocurrencies. If you're familiar with this, if you're not, it basically means I give you $1, you give me $1 coin back, and anytime I want, I can exchange that coin back for the dollar. So it's stable to the dollar. Now that's a key piece for the crypto ecosystem. And so if we can choke that off first, then we can help kill the entire system. But what's really happening is regulators, these government policy makers, these regulators are actually picking winners and losers. So instead of allowing the free market to choose which stable coin they like, the government's doing it. The government kills competition and pushes their own projects in the forefront. So the US government's favorite stablecoin, of course, is Circle. You've heard me talk about that before. They want to get rid of Tether. They want to get rid of every single stablecoin, and they want to see Circle. Why? Well, that's the one they control, of course. They want theirs. They want to pick the winner. Forget what the free market wants. Now, supposedly, Circle sounded the alarm on Paxos. Paxos is another stablecoin in the state of New York that's registered and licensed in New York. And I say that because New York is the most strict state in the nation to get a license. They have their own specific license that Paxos has. They're approved, they're regulated in New York, and they have it, but they also run stablecoins, and of course the government doesn't like competition. So Circle sounded the alarm on Paxos and told the New York that this Binance stablecoin wasn't fully backed on Bloomberg, which brought regulatory action against it. And now the SEC is suing this crypto trust company Paxos over this Binance stablecoin, BUSD. All right, and so this is exactly what I'm talking about. They're facing all types of probes now from the DPFS, which they've already given them license, they're already regulated, they're already approved, but it doesn't matter. We're still gonna shut them down. Like I said, really what they're doing is they're picking winners and taking away competition. Now, what else is under attack is staking. You might have heard about this. The SEC is suing now exchanges that are involved in staking. There was a big lawsuit that just happened with Kraken, where Kraken had to settle a lawsuit with the SEC, paid $30 million in fine, uncontested. So they just said, fine, you know what, we're just gonna shut everything down, we'll pay the $30 million, let's just call it a day, as opposed to standing up and fighting for it. Now, the SEC says that these are unregistered securities. Now, I've made the case that most cryptocurrencies are securities, we're gonna come back to that in a minute, but they're saying that staking and stable coins are securities. Now, there's a Howey test, and I'm not an SEC lawyer, I'll just make that clear, but there's 4 pieces here and to do the Howey test, an investment of money. So if I buy a stable coin, I give you $1, you give me $1 stable coin back. Or is that a security? Well, am I expecting to make money from that? No. I gave you $1, you give me $1 coin back. At one point I give it back, you give my $1 back. You're not gonna give me $1.25 back. There's no investment of money. Is it a common enterprise? I suppose it checks that box. We'll put an X there, we'll put a check there because it is a company that's running that, okay? With the expectation of profit. Again, no. I'm gonna give you $1, you're gonna give me my $1 back. That's it. You're not gonna give me $1.25 back. There's no expectation of profit there. Is it to be derived from the efforts of others? Well, there is no profit, so this doesn't really, I'll put this in A, doesn't really apply, right? Because yes, there's efforts of others to run the company, but there's no profit there. So I don't really see how they call this security, but of course it doesn't matter. The point is to choke this off with any and all means necessary. Now we'll see how this plays out because like I said, Kraken just rolled over and said, fine, take my 30 million, we'll call it a day. However, Coinbase says they're gonna fight. Coinbase makes its case. So Coinbase supposedly was subpoenaed about 6 months ago. We haven't seen what's gonna happen. Apparently the SEC likes the ones that are easy to roll over and Coinbase wants to fight, so we're gonna see how that shakes off. Or I should say shakes out. Now, I've been pretty outspoken. I've made a couple YouTube videos. I've been on Fox Business. I've been on Stansberry, Kitco, explaining that I don't believe we're gonna see another cryptocurrency bull run. And when I say cryptocurrency, I'm not talking about Bitcoin. I'm just talking about the cryptocurrency market as a category. And I don't think we may see another bull run. And the reason why is because, as I said from the beginning, markets stop going up when there's no more buyers. And if they choke off all ability to get buyers into the ecosystem, or not all, but a good majority of people from getting into the ecosystem, guess what happens? They don't go back up. Now I made a full video breaking this down in great detail, and I'll go ahead and link to it up here, and we'll put a link to it in the show notes so you can watch it after this if you want to watch this video. And I break down exactly why I think this is the case, and so there's a lot of detail there, a lot of nuance you should go watch. However, what we can see is that the government, the SEC, the Treasury, they're all in. Here we have SEC's Gary Gensler, he's the head of the SEC. He signals that he's saying that potentially all proof of stake cryptocurrencies are securities. All proof of stake cryptocurrencies. I'm going to say that one more time, all proof of stake. So Ethereum was a proof of work and they've merged into now a proof of stake. The majority of cryptocurrencies out there are all proof of stake, including Ethereum, including Cardano, and including probably your favorite one. Now, Bitcoin is proof of work, but all proof of stake. So Gary Gensler says, look, they're probably all securities, all proof of stake cryptocurrencies. Ethereum could have just shot themselves in the foot by doing that merge. We also see that the SEC wants to make it harder for hedge funds to work with crypto firms. And so this crypto boom started because all these VCs and hedge funds got in. They were buying these tokens. Again, I'm not going to explain it all again. Go watch that video if you want to see how all this worked. But if they prevent the hedge funds and the VCs from getting in on this, then that keeps the money out. Remember, markets stop going up when there's no more buyers if they could prevent the buyers. Now, I did want to say, and I'll just reiterate one more time, Gary Gensler admits that Bitcoin is a commodity. That's the only one. And so that's why I'm talking about cryptocurrency, proof of stake tokens, not Bitcoin, which they've already sort of exempted over here. So that's what I'm thinking. Choke it off, even though it's legal, even though we don't have a chance to vote, we don't have a chance to voice our opinion. It doesn't matter to them. Guns or cryptocurrency or anything that you want to express your freedom, they want to get around it without changing the law, they'll just choke it off. Now, the reason why this is important, I'm going to reiterate this, is because why are they going to choke off the money? Because all freedom stems from your ability to have private property and money. Without private property and money, you're a slave. Without the freedom to transact that money, I'm a slave. So all freedom starts with the money, and if they can choke off the money, they can take away the freedoms without changing the Constitution, without changing the laws, and without you having any say in the matter. Does that make you mad? I hope so. You can leave me a comment and let me know. Are you mad about that? All right, now I want to say just real quick, I'm going to have another one of my special presentations. There's a link down below if you'd like to come join me. I'm going to talk about what the Federal Reserve is doing. We're going to talk about the changes in CPI. We're going to talk about the pause and the pivot that I expect to happen this year in the markets and what we're doing about it. I've made a couple of videos talking about it, and I've got so many questions I decided we're going to do a special 1-hour presentation. I'm going to break it all down for you. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing. There was a lot of confusion when I said what I was going to do with my money, how I was investing it. And so if you are confused by that, if you have questions on how to navigate this market this year, check out the link down below. Come hang out with me. I'm going to present all this information. We'll do a live Q&A. So I hope to see you there. There's a link down below. But other than that, go ahead and give me a thumbs up on this video if you like it. If you don't like the video, that's okay. You can give me a thumbs down, but at least leave me a comment and tell me why. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button while you're at it, and that's what I got. To your success, I'm out.